We are live 364 days a year.
What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get fishy after Monday Night Raw?
Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. And it's a Monday, which means it's a Mailbag Monday. And we are going to be answering some of the questions which you guys have submitted to us via our Instagram stories. Plus, of course, we are talking about this R-Truth situation. The last 24, 48 hours have been wild. R-Truth has gone. Carlito is going. Could more be going as well? Who knows? But one thing is for sure, fans are not happy. We're going to be getting into all of that and more. But before we do, I need to introduce the panel. And let's kick things off with Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
Well, I was going to lead with Happy Monday, but you came out here and started talking about all the bad stuff already. Now it's starting to really feel like a Monday, Ben. Jeez Louise. Trying to kick over my bowl of cereal out of the gates here. We do have mail, though. I'm stoked about that. You know I love Mailbag, and I'm stoked to be here. And we've got a legend from Syracuse hanging out with us, so let's get into this.
Absolutely, we do. And if you think you're having a bad Monday, Clark, just feel bad for the WWE PR team today. I mean, they woke up and the first decision they made was to pull R-Truth's shirt from the WWE shop. So the only way fans could support R-Truth has now also gone. Honestly, it's bad decision after bad decision. It is insane. But also joining us today, you just referenced him, Clark. We have Josh Markowitz. How are you, Josh?
It was a top-selling shirt in WWE shop, and they just took it away. I mean, I was going to buy the shirt, and now I can't. So, yeah, I'm a little upset, too. It's sold out. Yeah, it's sold out. You can't buy it anymore. But, yeah, this is wild. This is a wild time, but big mailbox apparently today, and I'm excited to open it and read out the mail. This is, in my opinion, the best day in Wrestling Public daily broadcast, although they're all great. But Mailbag Monday is always a great time. I'm ready to get into it. We have a hot topic to start.
We absolutely do. And you mentioned selling out, Clark. That's the worst part. They didn't even sell out. They just removed it for once. They didn't even try the sellout method. They just pulled the entire thing.
Triple Paul.
We've got Shadzi and Paul LaFraud in the comments there. Benjamin Davis is saying, I'm ready for a crash out. Let's go. And Roundhead said, good evening. You guys better be getting ready to get passionate about the releases of two of the best comedic characters in the company. Fernando can't believe it as well. Okay, I'll open this up and I will get passionate out of the gates. I understand R-Truth is 53 years old. You can't keep people forever. But the fact is, R-Truth was not somebody who was taking opportunities from younger talents. In fact, he was actually somebody who was being involved for the most part with younger talents and really helping them while being a really entertaining part of WWE television, a part which fans clearly loved. But worse than all of this, this is what's really annoying me about all these recent releases and everything. WWE, TKO are constantly touting record-breaking profits. They've just announced today a new deal with, what do they call, Slim Jims, where the Slim Jim logo will now be on all WWE's foldable tables. Slim Jim, whatever, right? It's going to be on all their foldable tables from here on out. And they're announcing all these deals. They're making all this money, yet they're releasing people after people. And they're increasing ticket prices for the fans nearly every single event, nearly every single week. On a week-to-week basis, they're increasing the prices. It's just ridiculous to me. R-Truth, I mean, they could have given him another deal. He deserved another deal. It didn't have to be a long-term deal. But right now, he's an entertaining part of the product. And getting rid of him, it makes little to no sense. I mean, hell, this is somebody who, in my opinion, should be working backstage helping wrestlers long-term. So I think it's just completely insane to me. Clark, what is your thoughts on it?
I'm going to do my best to provide some levity here and honor R-Truth in the only way possible. Did we consider that R-Truth was released, but not Ron Killings? Is little Jimmy still signed?
They're
Is
both
it
gone.
possible? There's all kinds of factors that play here. Did the shirts sell out too quickly? Maybe he was stepping on John Cena's toes. You know, the things that you can't see behind the scenes, Ben. I mean, honestly, dude, this is tragic. I don't know what to do with this other than what would Truth himself do. And that's have fun with it. He grew up with a childhood hero, John Cena, that he looked up to. Hustle, loyalty, and respect. And we saw hustle from Truth over the last few months. We saw no loyalty from the WWE over the last few months. But I, Clark Taylor, respect R-Truth and every single thing he's accomplished in this industry. We forget that he was Ron Killings in TNA. We forget that he was K-Quick. We forget the level of in-ring work and athleticism that he had in his prime. He's not just a normal veteran. He's a veteran that evolved, and it gave him staying power. And I think that, not to get all of a sudden serious here, is the precipice of the problem. R-Truth evolved in the only way he possibly could to have staying power till the age of 53, as Ben mentioned. And then we decided to get rid of him when he fills a gap that we didn't know existed. The role he plays in the locker room, we didn't know was even a full option. R-Truth as a comedy character has had nearly a third career. If you think about how long he's been around, he's had nearly a third career, and for it to end just with contract expiration is heartbreaking, and it's bogus.
Yeah. It absolutely is, Clark. You're completely right there. I mean, we've got a couple of comments. Shard saying to have your last match against JC Mateo as well. I mean, that is actually one of the most baffling things here. They've gotten rid of R-Truth, somebody who is a star, somebody who we know works on the product, and they brought in somebody who's 9 years younger than him. I mean, that's, and I'd say 9 years younger than him. He's nearly, 43, 44 years old, JC Mateo, Jeff Cobb. And I like Jeff Cobb, but I don't think he's going to get over in this position he's brought in to do. I think I can't get my head around it, to be honest with you. And the other factor as well is, if I was WWE, genuinely what I would do tonight is I'd offer him a new contract, R-Truth, and turn this into a storyline now. I'd, for the next few weeks of R-Truth, turn up and they'd be like, hey, Truth, you don't work here anymore. What is this? This is Tuesday Night SmackDown. What are you on about? No, it's Monday Night Raw, but you don't work there either. And then, every week it just continues until he eventually gets back into the company. It'll be entertaining TV, and bang, you can fix this issue. But Sean Ellis is saying maybe he's under a Legends contract. Right now, he is completely gone. And that really sucks.
Comment got me here. I'm sorry. Poor little Jimmy. What's he going to do right now? I know.
Honestly, it's a
My
joke.
My thoughts are with little Jimmy.
Josh, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are the same as everybody else's, that this sucks. This is big news. This wasn't just covered by professional wrestling news outlets, Fox News, People.com, Yahoo Sports, they were all covering this. This is significant news in professional wrestling right now. R-Truth is, in my opinion, on the Mount Rushmore of being over in professional wrestling in terms of fan interaction, crowd cheering or booing. R-Truth has been consistently over in the last 15 years. Whether the crowd saying what's up or booing him for throwing soda in a fan's face or buying little Jimmy shirts. In my opinion, R-Truth is the most entertaining character WWE has ever had. And not in terms of in-ring or presence, just in terms of entertainment as a whole. He is the most entertaining character WWE has ever had. And that's my opinion. And yeah, Ben, to your point too, WWE is making more money. They have a new deal with Slim Jim. They're racking in more money than ever. These aren't budget cuts. We've seen WWE budget cuts where they release people because they need to figure out their money issues. This is not that. I don't even know why he's released. I get it. He's old. He's not a good wrestler anymore, but he's entertainment at its finest. And TKO took over while WWE was at its hottest, and now as a public image, WWE is on that downside. I feel like WWE kind of sold out to the corporate world, and the fans are letting them know what they think about it, and it's not good. But in terms of what's next for Truth, I will say, I think The Miz said this in his tweet. He's only gonna be unemployed for as long as he chooses. AEW, TNA, any independent scene, I'm sure they would love to get him involved in any way possible. And this is if they don't go with the route that you said, Ben, which I actually really love that idea of turning this into a storyline and giving him a contract after seeing, we've seen WWE before respond to the fans. We saw it during Roman Reigns versus The Rock, and then they put Cody back in the image. We've seen it before. We've seen them respond to the fans. So it is possible that they could sign R-Truth to another contract, today or tomorrow. Not sure how likely that is. But, I mean, look, whether he wants to take his deserved retirement or he wants to move into something fresh, go to AEW, go to TNA, the fans are going to support it, no doubt. I'm going to support it. After looking back on the last few weeks, it's kind of obvious. It makes sense now that this was WWE's plan. He went out facing his hero, John Cena, on a cable televised PLE. There's not many better ways to go out, I will say that. However, it is weird that they knew this was his last match, and then they gave it against JC Mateo in a 2-minute squash match on SmackDown. It's one thing to give him a match on SmackDown, cool, whatever, it's your last match. Triple H knew that, I'm sure, and it was a squash match against JC Mateo. At least make his name Jeff Cobb if it's going to be a squash match. But,
yeah.
Whatever Truth decides to do, I'm sure everybody will support him, and, thank you for all the years of entertainment, Truth. And honestly, I hope they go with what you said, Ben, and make that a storyline, because that's a great idea.
I love the idea of Truth Maverick. I think Ben was spot on with that.
What do you want Drake Maverick did? But it's not even that. I think it would work so well for Truth's character. And I mean, surely that's just the no-brainer move from WWE at this point to get everybody off their back. Because you mentioned it, Josh. Clark, both of us have spoken on this podcast at length over the past year or two that in wrestling, momentum changes. It swung in the favor of AEW, then swung in the favor of WWE, and now it looks like it's swinging the other way once again, and it will swing back. But WWE need to try and stop it from swinging before it does swing that way. And I think maybe bringing back Truth and having a brilliant Money in the Bank would be how to do that. But right now, to your point, corporate greed is the phrase being chucked around in our commons, and it's brutal.
Tough times.
Yeah,
Tough times don't last. Bad guys do.
And they keep coming too, like the Slim Jim table announcement. Like the tables were like different colors. It looked like they had cushion on them. I don't know if those are the actual tables they're using. It looked like they were.
Here it is.
I don't know. It's just make it a sticker. You don't have to make it like a cushion table. It's black. It's a whole different color. It's just weird. I don't know.
I reckon it is just. It's just gonna be literally.
Can't you screen it on the table? Yeah, I'm hoping it's not like a. Yeah, I don't know.
At least the table's not like. At least it's not yellow and red table. Like at least the whole.
It would be interesting when we start.
We don't know yet. It might be.
It's the table is something, as Benjamin Davis said.
Now the only thing that I'll give. So let's play devil's advocate for 1 second when it comes to the Slim Jim thing. Their marketing campaign for the history of the company is snap into a Slim Jim. Right? And Macho Man Randy Savage said it best. What do tables do when you go through them? Snap. So how many sponsors could you really actually have on the table that are willing to have their logo broken through?
No, I agree.
And I think that's logically
timing.
Logically, for the timing is interesting, but I don't think it necessarily affects. Right, multiple things can be true at once. I think this is good for the business because it's also putting money in the pockets of the wrestlers as well as the stockholders.
They're getting rid of them. They stop putting any more money into the wrestlers' pockets.
It's putting money in the pockets.
They've not been given a pay rise since TKO's come in, and ticket prices have gone up.
Right,
it's making
putting money into TKO. That is all this is doing. It is not helping the performers. It's just like UFC. The performers are not going to be getting the money they deserve now. It is going in that direction. And Clark, on this podcast said it 2 years ago.
Do you believe then that there's a performer pay issue within TKO and WWE? Do you believe
I didn't think there was before TKO came in, but now I think there is. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I would be interested in that conversation.
No, I think it's a near certainty that's where it's going now because the business has grown massively and the contracts haven't really gone up unless your name's Roman Reigns.
Underpaid. That's okay. That's really interesting. So you believe under independent owner that the performers are making a fairer wage money-wise than now?
Well, a few years ago, yeah, not always with WWE, but to be fair, actually, that is one of the things you can say about Vince McMahon.
Well, I mean, remember why they
always
left
did try and pay wrestlers the money and was honest when he couldn't.
Sure. Well, I mean, Jeff Jarrett worked him, and then you've got, remember, he sent Bret Hart to WCW for more money because he couldn't pay him.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, historically, Vince did actually.
You think that was doing the right thing?
One of the few good things you could say about him.
Right, but then, okay.
Yeah, I think the issue is that they're racking in the most money they've ever racked in, and you would think they'd give back, like, not increase ticket prices. If anything, they would lower them. And if there would be news that people were getting paid more and there's just not, we'd think the fans would get back after, like, okay, we'll deal with the ring mat being sponsored and the tables being sponsored. So it's like things that wrestling fans aren't used to. And it's like, okay, we'll deal with this. Let's, but we're going to expect other things to come our way because you guys are racking in so much money and that's just not happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where's this money going? Because it's, I mean, I don't think it takes any genius to work out when you look at how much the higher ups are being paid.
I mean, but that's kind of expected. It was the same before. The higher ups were
not to this level. It wasn't. It really was not.
But now it's a massive corporation. We're in a different stratosphere. That's how those companies work.
With WWE, there is two things which make this business: wrestlers and fans. Obviously, there's people behind the scenes who are too. But if the majority of the money is going to neither of those, then there is a big issue here.
But that's not how you can't make the split then, as far as for how much money has to. We're talking about net versus gross, and this is such a complex conversation.
They're making the biggest profit just overall ever.
Yeah.
The just on net profit alone?
Let me actually get up. If you give me a second, I'll get it up for you quickly.
Okay. I don't want to extend the segment because the next one's going to crack me up too.
I would think they're making the most net profit they've ever made.
I opened a can of worms and I knew I did it as soon as I said it. That's why I was hesitant.
Right, here we are. So, this was 2023 and we've known it's gone up since then too. Mark Shapiro, according to Deadline, earned $900K in 2023.
That's nothing. Wait, what?
Yeah,
Mark Shapiro, $900K?
Nothing,
for a major corporation like that.
Yeah, no, nothing. No, I agree.
Less
with you,
than $1 million.
But he was also, clearly Ari Emanuel felt a little bad for him, so they also gave him a little bit of a cash bonus as well, which might just, help tax-wise. And that was $24 million and $40 million in stock.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. There it is. Yeah.
There it is. But $900K.
That's where the money's going.
Well, I mean, because $40K in stock that's different. That's not where the money's going.
No, I know.
In the stock, cash into stock.
I know.
Taking
$24 million is.
It's playing with the market. But that's what you do as a publicly traded company.
You do, but that's where the money's going. If wrestlers aren't earning more, but WWE's earning a hell of a lot more and tickets are costing a hell of a lot more, clearly the people who are better off here is behind the scenes.
The real issue, by the way, and I've said this multiple times on the same program, and I swear we're done with this conversation of this, but like the UFC's paying out the fighter pay for that. This same exact conversation on that side, which is also owned by TKO. They're paying out two multi-$100 million lawsuits on that. And so then you look at inflation, food prices up and everything, ticket prices up and everything. The demand's still there. They're still selling out arenas. And it's a shame, but they're paying out that money. And
I don't think they're going to be selling out for much longer. I think and the reason I say that, right, is a lot of these, a lot of other WWE content creators who are very WWE heavy, a lot of them don't even watch AEW. They know next to nothing about AEW, but they go on Twitch every night and they stream WWE and all this, and they get a lot of views, a lot of views. They're always super positive. The joke is always, WWE pays them, even though that's not true. Or I've seen today all over my Twitter feed, it's them complaining. saying, and this is the first time I've ever seen them actually complaining about WWE, saying ticket prices now too high. Why are you doing this? Everything. The fact is, something has changed in the last couple of weeks now, and WWE, I think it's going to go to the fans soon.
For a while. I think it's been coming for a while.
We got Bobby Petito in the comments. Shout out to you, Bobby. Benjamin Davis says he's a WWE first fan, but AEW has the chance to take over. I mean, they have the chance to get momentum on their side. I'll say that much.
They can be the cool kids again. They can be the punk rock band.
Yeah. I mean, it's come AEW, improving's come at the right time as well. It could well swing in their favor. But talking about TKO, talking about WWE, we have a question from Jose99 who's submitting. In your opinion, is WWE/TKO focusing more on quantity than quality? And I think this is in reference to, the additional pay-per-views, the Saturday Night Lives now, the Worlds Collide, but maybe it's also touching upon Evolve and stuff like that, which has recently been introduced. And it's a fascinating one. And Clark, I want to get your thoughts.
I might be the worst person to have to answer this question, Ben. I hate to be that guy, but I'm just saying this. They always have. Like, what are we talking about? WWE's been trying to expand since the outset. They had one territory, then they wanted all of them. They had one night of shows, then they wanted all of them. They had 4 big pay-per-views, and then they wanted all of them. Like, that's what the WWE does. That's who the WWE is. That's the scoop when it comes to the WWE. That's what they do. That's who they are. Yes, they want quantity. Quality matters at times. And the WWE will bring you quality. That's why we get so excited about Mania season cyclically. It's cyclical. It is. Which can, if we're going to have a real existential conversation, can make things predictable. That's, I don't think, a problem. But the answer to the question is, yeah. But what was your expectation? That's what the WWE has always done, is prioritized quantity over quality in slight ways. Yes, the quality is really high on big arenas that have been booked and whatnot. But this is the way the business has worked since Vince Sr., practically. Since Junior took over, and it was like, well, one territory is not enough. Let's get them all. Right? They've always sacrificed quality in some sense for quantity. That's who the World Wrestling Entertainment is at the end of the day. And yeah, that's what I'll leave you with there, Ben. That's what I got.
I do think that is very much a fair comment to make, because you are right. They have always wanted quantity, but they have also, especially in recent years, wanted quality as well. And now, listen, I'm going to be honest for a second. I feel for Triple H in the same way I felt for Tony Khan when I was saying the same things about Tony Khan trying to balance everything. You can't really, make everything quality when you've got so much to think about. And maybe we are now getting to that point with Triple H, where he's in the same shoes that Tony Khan's been in, where, you're trying to wear too many different shoes. And it just, you can't wear them all at the same time. Too many hats, whatever you want to call it.
I think they're always chasing the next rabbit. That's been the ethos of the company from day one. Yeah. And that's where we're at.
And I mean, it's a great comment from Roundhead saying it's like WWE is giving AEW everything they can, with clearly placing the PLEs around their PLEs. I mean, that is true. And we spoke about that last week. I think it's rubbish. But as if the news day couldn't get any worse for TKO, it kind of has. Cora Jade did an interview on the Ariel Helwani show, bit of breaking news here, and realized that at 19 years old, she was being body shamed by performance center coaches.
I saw that.
Not a good day.
That's not it at all
for them, is it? But moving on. You know what? I'll talk to you guys about Progress real quick, right? Because this code currently isn't working, but I'm just going to talk to you about Progress in general, right? Subscribe to Demand Progress Plus. Don't use that code. It's not working right now. But just support independent wrestling, because it is more important than ever. And Progress, they're great people over there. It's a great product. So I'm just, just doing this one today, right? But also make sure you guys check out Etsy. We go over on Etsy every Saturday or Sunday. Clark's usually over on there. And if you head to the upcoming stream section, you can see when they're going to be on there. You can jump in a call with them, basically. It's like a podcast, but you can jump into. You can have your camera on or off. You can have your mic on or off, and you can basically just argue with us about certain things. It is a lot of fun, and it is free to download. And last but certainly not least, make sure you guys subscribe to our second channel, Wrestling Republic Undercard, for exclusive videos, clips, and more. It's the home of sold separately, and a lot more podcasts are going to be over on there as well. Some fantastic content. Make sure you check it out. We've had to create a second channel basically because of the YouTube algorithm. But up next, let's go on to talk about the next question. And this one is from, I don't know how I'm gonna, right, okay, so I don't know how to say this, where this sounded like I'm saying something else. Tittage, there we are. Managed to just about get around it.
Nicely
I sent in a question.
Nice.
The releases. How?
Lay Tatage? I don't know. I was just trying to make it sound French. You said lay first.
Maybe, but I think it
Well
also
done.
might have trying to be, trying to get us to say something too. But the releases of Kai, Truth, and Carlito are among the worst decisions WWE have made recently. Why not add a third brand to the main roster? Now, Josh, I'm going to ask you this question because me and Clark actually spoke about it at length a few weeks ago. And in fact, we did an experiment alongside Soul where we drafted rosters for 3 WWE brands and only were allowed 4 call-ups from NXT. And actually, across the 3 of us, we only used 9. And we found out, numbers-wise, you can have 3 brands. But to the previous point, would that be quantity over quality?
This is a perfect segue from the last transition. Yes, it would be. It would be too much content. And exactly what you said, Ben, where Triple H is wearing too many hats. I cannot imagine what he would have to do if he had to write a third show. He'd have to add 6 hours to every day to, it would have to be a 30-hour day. We'd have to ask, whoever made up the 24 hours is a day. We'd have to add more hours to the day in order for Triple H to be able to write 3 shows. Because that's just not possible, honestly. It's not. We saw Tony Khan try. Hasn't really worked out for him. And yeah, volume-wise, of course, WWE could. They have a lot of people. They have a lot of great wrestlers. Of course, like, when you think about it, like, at a fantasy level, like, I would love to see a third brand where more wrestlers get to perform and shine under the spotlight. But on paper, it sounds great. It wouldn't work out. Like Clark kind of said, Clark kind of talked about this in the last segment. WWE's been trying to expand forever. WWE ECW lasted 4 years. 205 Live lasted 5 years, maybe. NXT UK lasted 4 years. And some of that was good. All of that, those brands weren't bad. But, they've attempted these third main rosters and they just don't work out. And frankly, in order to create a third main roster, they would have to create a third weekly show. They already have Monday Night Raw. They already have Friday Night SmackDown. They also have Tuesday Night NXT. So it would really be a 4th show. And, it would happen. Everybody would want it to happen. It'd be so exciting. And then once it happens, everybody would end up complaining that there's too much content. And I would probably be one of those people because as a WWE fan, it's already hard. There's 3 shows. It's already hard to keep up with the storylines and the content and being present to watch 3 hours of wrestling 3 times a week. It's tough. And if they added a 3rd show, it wouldn't be any easier. And in my opinion, actually, this question said, why can't WWE create a 3rd main roster? In my opinion, they already have one. And it's NXT. NXT is not developmental. NXT is a main roster, in my opinion. Even if they're not classified as one, they tell stories like the main roster. They wrestle like the main roster. They're presented like the main roster. Sometimes actually better than the main roster. In fact, honestly, most times better than the main roster. I think it's time that people start acknowledging NXT as more than just the developmentals. And I get that you get called up to the main roster, but look, NXT is just as skilled as they are, honestly, up there in the main roster. I'm going to be honest. And it's time people start acknowledging that. So to rephrase the question, do they need a 4th brand? No.
I agreed with literally every single word you said up until the NXT's a third brand thing. It is not the main roster. It is a developmental brand. But
True.
that is a conversation for
Make
another day.
Evolve developmental and make it the third brand if you're going to do it is the real answer.
It is developmental. They're going there to learn how to be WWE wrestlers because it's different than AEW wrestling and New Japan wrestling. But in terms of skill and production, it is like the main roster.
Oh, no, you are right. It's an amazing
that
product.
is
AAA baseball. It's the next best thing you can get.
Yes.
Yeah. Undoubtedly about that. Fernando agrees with you, and so does John as well. Twinkle is saying, why are you ignoring me? What was your comment? His comment was, will Vince return to WWE? Never say never, but never. So don't worry about
that. That's why.
I don't think so. I think that's a legitimate question. That's probably a legitimate question.
He asked it like 11 times.
Well, the answer is
you
never.
ask it once, maybe.
The answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no.
No, he's not.
But up next, let's talk. Let's talk about our final submission for Mailbag Monday, shall we? Because this one is at Gwyn_5, and they sent in a hot take saying CM Punk should be the one to dethrone John Cena, not Cody Rhodes. Josh, I'm going to send it right back to you. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm with it. I like it. At first, when Cody lost the belt at WrestleMania, I said, Cody versus Cena, it's got to happen. It's a rematch, SummerSlam. He's going to win the belt back. Cena will turn face, blah, blah, blah. But actually, I like this idea a lot better. And, well, first off, I don't want to see Cody versus Cena again. After their Mania match, I don't need to see that. I don't think most people want to see that. You know, maybe it'll be a way better match. Doubt it. But, you know, I do, however, want to see Cody versus Punk. That match hasn't happened, and that match needs to happen. And I certainly want to and feel like I need to see Punk holding the belt. I think it's kind of obvious when Punk signed this contract to WWE, when he returned to Survivor Series, they told him, you know, like, you're going to get a chance with the belt. And that time is, I think it's coming. I think it's real soon. And look, you could say he's old, but he is certainly not washed. CM Punk can still go. He can go with the best of them. He's put on bangers in this WWE run. He is 46 years old, and he is putting on legitimate bangers. I rewatched the CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre Hell in a Cell match. It's a 6-star match. That match was incredible. And also, this makes a great way for Cody versus Punk. You know, there doesn't need to be a heel or face in the match. If they do, I'm saying if they do Punk versus Cena and Punk wins, this makes a great gateway for Cody versus Punk. There doesn't need to be a heel or face in that match. You know, they can both be faces. Naturally, I would like to assume that Cody will likely be booed, and maybe that'll also help that story because he'll do a little, you know, a heel tease as he's done before as a result of that. But look, I need to see CM Punk hold the belt before he actually gets to the point where he can't wrestle as much as he is now. Like I said, he's 46. I don't know how many years he has where he's able to move like he can now. I think take advantage of it. I think put the belt on him. Tell the unbelievable story between Punk and Cena. Let us fans soak it all in. They will finish their decade-long arc rivalry. And I think it's a great plan. My issue with Cody versus Cena is it's way too predictable. I think if they do Cena and Punk, I could see Cena winning. But if they have Cody get a rematch, I think it's obvious he would just win. I think, look, John Cena, CM Punk for the belt, night 2 of SummerSlam. I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that could well be the case. For me personally, what I'm predicting, because originally I agreed with you, Josh, I was going Cody. Now I'm also agreeing with what you're saying, but I reckon it'll happen in the event in December. I reckon Cena's going to, either he's going to retire as a heel and Punk's going to beat him, and then it'll be Punk and Cody at Mania, or, especially if it's a London WrestleMania, who knows? Maybe Cena's retired. Maybe Cena could retire with the belt, walk out with the belt, literally exactly what CM Punk did to Roundhead's comment in Money in the Bank 2011. Then at the Rumble, Punk wins a tournament or wins the Rumble even to become the new WWE champion, this new belt. And then John Cena returns at WrestleMania. It is Punk versus Cena for who's the real WWE champion or whatever. And that's when Cena retires. Or, to your point, Punk versus Cody. It's got to be one of those two for me. But, Clark, you're in a difficult position here because you really don't like Cody. You really don't like Cena. But you do like CM Punk.
I don't. You're wrong. I don't like him either. And I hate
then this is awful for you.
I don't like any of them. Actually, at this stage, no, I don't think CM Punk should beat John Cena. Absolutely not. I will stick with my original plan, and I believe that there's only one guy that should beat John Cena. And get your ones up if you know what I'm talking about. CM Punk should not beat John Cena. I'm done with that. He's gonna tear a sep, whether it's a tricep or a bicep or a quadricep. It's one of those muscles. That's what happens every time he's in a big old match. He couldn't even handle John Moxley at All Out. We saw that torn tricep. Every single time he goes out there, torn tricep. One of those seps. There's a lot of muscles. Stop it. We're not banking on John Cena's retirement match being CM Punk and then like telling this cutesy story and then seeing what happens. No way. Roman Reigns is the only one that should beat John Cena. The only reason that Roman Reigns is a babyface right this second that makes any sense still, because he's the best heel in the business outside of MJF at bothering people when he wants to. Roman Reigns is the best heel in pro wrestling. We have him as a babyface right now because he needs to be, because somebody's got to beat John Cena, and it's him. It's not Cody, and it's not Punk. And please don't tell me it's Seth Rollins, because it's not him either. It's Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the one that should take the title away from Cena. It's the one that the company wanted to pass the torch to in the first place, so you can get that job done anyway. It makes more sense than Punk by 1,000%. It should have been Orton if we were going to do the Punk joke. Orton's his greatest rival. Heck, it should have been Edge. That's really his greatest rival. Cope's in AEW. It's not a choice. So, for me, absolutely no. Punk should not beat John Cena. Not even once. Not even one more time. Nope. Absolutely not.
He's not been injured in a while, to be fair to Punk.
Okay, yeah.
We also
it's been over a year.
Start doing the math.
We also just saw John Cena Roman Reigns. It was 4 years ago at SummerSlam, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a rematch is perfect.
I don't need to see that again.
No, well, I really don't want to see that again.
I'm not saying I don't want to see Punk Cena. I'm saying I don't want to see Punk beat him. That's all I said there. I'm not saying I don't want to see the match, Josh. I want to be clear on that, though, right? Like, I want to see Punk Cena, but I want to see John Cena beat him.
But so Roman Reigns has already beat
We
Cena
already saw the blow the stupid kiss.
Yeah, and then Cena still ended up winning it all. Punk was exiled. Cena was still on top.
He came back with the title.
Now he came back years later.
It's the best moment. No one remembers anything that Cena did after that. For a second, when it came to the Punk rivalry, yeah, we can vaguely remember, like, oh, they did it again. It's all about that night in Chicago. Everyone knows that. That's a fact. Come on, man.
I mean, that was the highlight, undoubtedly.
Yeah, that's
where it went all downhill.
That's where your brain goes. My point is, Roman Reigns, yes, we have seen the matchup, for sure. Unless you're going to pass it to, like, Braun Breaker, which you're not.
Which that's what I said to them they should have done.
I know. I was on the show where you and I talked about it for a half hour. I'm just saying. I don't want it to be Punk. I'd honestly. This is hard to admit. I feel like I'm at like a meeting or something. I would rather have Cody Rhodes beat John Cena than CM Punk. Oh God.
So Clark, if Roman Reigns wins the belt and he beats Cena, what would you want next?
I can't believe I just said that. I mean it though.
Clark,
what would you do next?
What would you want next? Because we've seen Roman have the belt forever.
You mean after I throw up?
Yeah, it'd be Roman Punk. That's what I think.
Oh, Roman Punk. Oh, you mean if Roman wins? I thought you meant if
Roman. I'm saying if Roman wins against Cena, which is what you want. What next?
Yeah, if Roman wins, then Roman Punk makes perfect sense.
Well, no, because Punk's going to be even more older and even more fragile.
Right.
But that's like a month later. Dude, we're talking about the next
We can't have Roman Reigns in a 1 month reign.
He's not going to lose it to Punk.
Well, that's what we're asking. Who's he going to lose it to?
Oh, down the road? Braun Breaker.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
I wouldn't hate Breaker winning it, but...
Yeah.
I
Or
don't know.
Seth.
I think Reigns has had his moments. I don't think he needs to have another thing on his
Yeah.
accolades. I think CM Punk being the one to retire John Cena, I think it would be poetic in a way.
Yeah, look at this. He's right. It did. It happened.
I know. Clark's just turned face on Cody and heel on
That was
Punk.
hard for me.
He was a Punk maniac for years.
I couldn't
He was one of
even-
the ones chanting CM Punk at every wrestling event.
No, I liked Punk when he first came back, but I always made fun of him for the Mickey Gall stuff. You know that. I think Mickey Gall should take the title off Punk.
In the UFC fight.
He
On the
beat him
octagon.
in 30 seconds. You know, just do like one of those
Boxing matches.
no, underground. Do Raw Underground.
Didn't
Yeah.
he get in trouble?
Punk versus Gall.
Loses the undisputed champion on Raw Underground.
Mickey Gall?
Yeah.
Solid idea.
No, I think he's just an average MMA fighter.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
became rubbish. Okay, fair enough.
If you're thinking
but-
Mike Jackson, the other guy that beat him, did get in trouble.
Oh, I think that's what I'm mixing that up with. But
Yeah.
anyway, that does bring us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everybody who's commented along. We really appreciate you watching. Also, happy birthday to Christopher Leclerc. Shout out to you. But we will be back same time, same place tomorrow to talk a little bit of Monday Night Raw. And will the crowd try and hijack this show for our truth? Well, social media is saying they will. We'll have to wait and find out. Once again, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Clark. And thank you to everybody in the comments. See you same time, same place tomorrow.